Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome or welcome back. My name is Dina with Impressive Warrior. Let's get right into your messages today. This is the Daily Dharma, and we're starting out with just a few pre-dealt cards. We've got healthier choices as one of the primary themes. Under the deck, it says maybe, gather more information, wait and see. So this is the energy coming in, something that you're looking for answers about may take yourself or another person or group of people even to transform some level of fear or group anxiety into more constructive types of patterns and outcomes, things that you're contributing to the situation. So you have to wait and see what people are going to choose for themselves. But during that time, you are allowing every naysayer and every bit of fear that is brought up to be reframed into a more empowering type of wording without changing the facts of a matter. And that is helping you to fuel your faith in something, in the belief of something coming through for you. So for you, you're committed to turning this maybe into, well, even if it's not with this particular moment or with this particular person, I know that I'm on a pathway of success, fulfillment, and abundance. So because you believe it, you're embodying it. So, in the middle of the healthier choices and the fear versus faith dilemma, in the middle, we do have the FAFO, the F around and find out. So, it looks like you're just going to try something out and see what happens. And you're putting out your expectations or beliefs or opinions about a situation to something. You're putting yourself out there and you're expressing where you stand on something. So this could be just between you and the universe if you don't have a dynamic in your life going on. Because I'm really seeing in the cards that were laid out, using the Dreams of Gaia deck, which is pretty symbolic. So when I was shuffling, I was thinking about, help me to understand this, because it's laid out in a dream format almost, and sometimes it's hard to see the string of what spirit's putting down, except for in the art that's mirrored between the various cards. And it's as though it's giving us this Alice through the looking glass version of some type of soul's evolution. And it looks like the pathway in the journey to be whole and integrated and to acknowledge yourself, both the yin and the yang, the shadow and light aspects and elements of your personality. Sorry, there was a weird noise. I believe that the wind is blowing a door around in my house at 333 there. It might be some type of confirmation, because I know my cats aren't necessarily playing with the door that I heard moving. So moving on. So let's show you some of these cards. We start the first row off with the, what is this? The Three of Air. And it shows what at first glance appears to be an initiate, like a sorcerer's apprentice. But if you look around, this individual is not trying on someone else that's more powerful's cloak. This individual, the codes here, he is actually invoking this powerful portal. He's being supported by this dragon familiar in this portal with this initiate, and the skull and the books and this symbol portal here. It's like light language again, and it's coming through with the foresight and knowledge. And they have wings. They're showing also with an owl, and they have a key around their neck. I'm seeing all of these symbols, but it's as though this individual has already become acquainted with the portal between life and death, between reality and potentiality. and the secrets of the universe are blowing their hair back, but they are peaceful and poised. They aren't new to this. So there is some type of, I was hearing when I first laid this out, is some type of feeling of having been born for this or born to do this particular thing. It's, there's something that the more that you choose this for yourself, the more you align with this, the more it's really opening up more and more. So you may have just gone through another layer. I'm seeing the clock here, the local time. I saw it as 222 on the one clock that I can see, but above I see that it's only 1222 on the clock. So very interesting synchronicities there, and 555 there. So you may be seeing all these different synchronicities in your experience and assigning some type of idea about what that means. For me, this is like having the wherewithal and the leadership and the courage and boldness to walk into the new chapter and see who else is going to be one of the collaborators, and to move forward in that way, just like not slamming any doors necessarily, not pushing people out, but just moving forward and seeing who's coming on board with you and accelerating some type of significant change because of this alignment. I feel like this is talking about make sure that you are giving yourself credit where credit is due, not to blow smoke or bubbles or anything else like that. I feel like those of you that are tuned into this message are already well on your way. You've looked within yourself and you've befriended your inner demons and dragons. You didn't have to slay them. You've integrated them in a much different way. And so some of us that are on that particular timeline are here to have embodied that in advance of the pressure for the collective to follow through. And I feel like one of these major portals came through while you were preparing yourself. I feel like you saw it coming. The Lionsgate portal of 2025 just happened at the time of this broadcast. So you may be watching this in a timeless fashion. Take what resonates. But I see this as a very Leo energy. We had the Lionsgate on 8/8, and then the Leo, excuse me, was it? It was, it was the Aquarius full moon that happened the day after on the 9th. And so Aquarius and Leo are opposites. And so to me, this talks about all of the activations that were happening at that time and how you were applying your magic to encounter and surpass your limitations in that way. And I was sensing that this may have caused you to need to address levels of your ego operations. And the ego is not a demon in itself. That's why we say befriending the shadow, befriending the dragon within. It's like that's the true integration portal. And here it's like it's coming through with perhaps as part of your initiation. You know how spirit sometimes gives us little trials. We can even see this in mythology when you see that one of the gods or goddesses will force the one who's petitioning them for something to go through these challenges. And I feel like one of the challenges was being able to face down any type of fearful miscommunication on your behalf to meet a situation that seemed very challenging, perhaps even with a Leo or someone who represents a lot of fixed and very rooted, immovable type fiery dynamics in their personality. So someone who possibly is very larger than life or wants to be, and also has a lot of emotions and responsive natures, because the fire is very responsive to what we feed it and what it is able to incorporate from the environment. That's why it travels so well along certain conduits, and other things it doesn't transfer through, if you know what I mean. So the same thing with personalities. I feel like there was some type of an ego clash, that you were able to apply some type of higher teaching to actually make nice in some type of a way. And so whether or not that individual meets you there is almost not even the point of the interaction. It was only to push you to embody your shadow side and witness something about yourself, and how you are choosing for the next step for yourself. And this is where you get to choose for your abundance. So the next card, I'm seeing the Three of Earth. We have this, oh shoot, what are these guys called? Satyr, the goat-legged individual, it looks like to me. But I'm noticing right now that part of his body is like a tree trunk, but then we have a leg over here that's more human. So I don't know if that's like a fig leaf placement by the artist, but it almost looks like this individual is very rooted to their land, and they've got a foot in both worlds, as I love to say. And I'm seeing also, as this person is planting these seeds, they've got a karmic string tangled around a nut, and they're providing not only for themselves but for nature around them. And so that's part of them being in both worlds. They're not worried about the harvest for themselves but for all. And I'm also noticing that, like Alice in Wonderland, we've got all these little flowers all around this individual. And if you're familiar with the cartoon version, there's this part where Alice is very small and she's in the garden, and at first everybody's starting to get along with her, and all of a sudden they figure out, well, we think you're a weed. And so everybody starts getting on her case and starts trying to get after her, and she gets basically chased out of the garden. So it's kind of giving a little bit of an, within the situation that we're talking about, this challenging situation, it might have happened over a course of weird random events that you're looking at, like, what the heck is really going on? You're putting these things, like, you couldn't plot them on a map, but it's because it's happening in the dreamtime reality. And so it's reflecting into this reality, and your it's like a reality inversion in some ways, where people are maybe acting out of character, or the way that you're perceiving it, or the way that you're responding is in a way that's unfounded, or it's demanding for you to act in a way that you have been previously reluctant to act in some type of way, or to bring some type of element of your own personality and dynamic emotion to the table in this type of a way. But so, and I also want to just do that honorable mention too, that the difference between a weed and a flower is depending on what you want from your experience. And so, some flowers are very pretty to look at, but they're poisonous if you eat them. Now, other flowers are actually edible, and some have very high levels of nutrient value as well. Some are just pretty, and they look good on the top, but they really have no function. Others are medicinal. Now, some of the weeds that we are used to seeing, especially in my region, the dandelion gets a really bad rap from a lot of people, but it's an amazing antioxidant and so many other things. So, and chicory root, another one. That's for another day. But I guess I feel as though I'm talking to a group of people who has spent the time researching the older ways and the truth behind the hype of certain situations and things that we're told to either respect or to rebel against. And so I believe with this feeling of being pressured to choose the right direction in this spiritual initiation quest and your challenges is to recognize which things are the true weeds and which things you want to grow in your garden, because it might not be the right time or place to put an acorn if you're planting right up next to your home, because you don't want a big oak tree to break your home's foundation, right? So it's about time, it's about place, it's about the choices and which things we put where. And so there's a time with every season, there is a time. Turn, turn, turn. Yeah, something about that. So coming next in the row, we have this interesting and very expansive look at yourself almost. Yes, before I say that, I want to say also that I saw here with the first two, because there's so much symmetry. I was seeing how that initiate here is like lit up golden. It's as though the book, when it opens up, it shows him the face of God, so to speak. Like like it's glowing, but what he's really truly seeing in that book is a mirror. And in the mirror, this is what he sees, this glowing face. And so it's in all of its form and bluster and beauty and foible nature. It's like we are both the higher self and the lower self. And there's this ego death that is kind of putting, I feel like, the earthly heart through this squeezed portal of self recognition and acknowledgement that spirit is working so closely with you at this time. And it's like the next level. And so, this individual that's planting these seeds, it's like as he digs in to this new chapter, like opening the book or parting the earth and dropping the seed in, this karmic thread reveals his face looking back from the earth. And this is what he sees in the dreamscape. It's like awakening to yourself and understanding that it's not even about you and your companion, but it's about the next generation and their companions, because we see this satyr and squirrel combo going into this priestess and this little dog. But if you could see the eyes of both the dog and the lady, and see the keys also as earrings here, it's as though all of these individuals, so to speak, are related to another time and place, perhaps your waking life. And in this realm, they're being shown up in different ways. And so, to make a healthier choice, we have to be able to see what we are witnessing in another through the lens that has become subjectified in ourselves, that has like the smoke and the veils that have been drawn across the mirror. Because until we're able to look in the mirror and see the face of God looking back at ourselves, symbolically speaking, for anyone who wants to come for me, or being able to see the and witness the beauty and the magic of the earth and of caretaking for the earth and the animals and the plants. And today I'll also say I was out weeding this morning, and I have this new place for my cultivated pepper plants, and I've got all of these tomato seeds, and they would be beautiful plants. But sometimes it's about where they're at, and the garden is already um, ridiculously dense, too dense with other plants. They're actually cultivated plants from previous, but so much fruit has laid there. We've got plants from previous seasons because I don't till. And the thing is, it's not quite a weed. It's a good plant, but its placement isn't correct. And so you may need to be picking something up and transplanting it to a different location, whether you're physically moving or shifting friends, groups, or moving from one group association to another, or saying goodbye to one friend and bringing in another here with your familiar. But there's these sacred keys to the universe. There's the 13 sacred keys image from, you can look it up on the internet, coming through, and it talks about all of the corresponding principles of the universe, and how um, one law and order, or actual correspondence of things completing each other, or the law of vibration, the law of cause and effect. There's all of these sacred laws and rules that have been governing the whole process behind the scenes. And the more that we can dip out of our ego self to see how we are actually being utilized by self and by spirit and by everyone that we love so very much, and all those that we think that we are competing with, and so on, to see the beauty behind the process. And once we can understand how we are only at sometimes just a mouthpiece for spirit, a conduit of sound and vibration piercing through the universe in all these unprecedented and curious ways, it becomes curiouser and curiouser as we can enable ourselves to look beyond the veil. And that's the sight I see her seeing, some other type of timeline, like seeing ourselves from the future looking back, or from our vantage point now in 2222 as I look up there, and then casting our consciousness back and giving our previous self in this lifetime a big hug and point of direction. Like, if you knew what you knew 10 years from now, would you be making the same choices? And if you give yourself the authority to look deeply enough into yourself and to pierce through levels and layers of what you're doing in real time, then you can start that process as soon as you want. So to end this row, we have this beautiful two of air with this, we've got these scales of justice, and this masculine individual here, balanced in light and dark, lighting up his heart chakra here. And it's like, this is the point of being able to witness these sides of ourselves, and in that masculine principle to take equitable action for the right result. So it's not always what's easiest or what's most expedited. Sometimes it's what the universe demands of us. Like, there are different people who I would love to hang out with, but it leads to making poor choices. There are other people I'd love to hang out with, and those people put me in a situation where I'm questioning my inner thoughts and values. There are other people I'd like to be associated with, and there's a fear threshold of um, esteeming myself as a little below them. And it came out recently as though we're very comfortable, perhaps, being the bigger pond, or the bigger fish in the smaller pond, because then we're able to hold our heads high and be the authority figure. But then if we extend ourselves into these unexplored frontiers, and push ourselves to look at a little bit more and see, there, I am not below these people, and these other people are not below me. We are all just interested at different things at different times. And so from any point in the dream, we can choose to become more lucid. And some point of challenge forced us to have some type of lucidity over our process and to take back our power from that place. So in the second row, oh, I knew these cards were going to take a little bit longer. We've got this four of water. We have this masculine. He has one earthly eye and one cosmic eye here, but he's looking in this mirror, and the mirror has two faces pointing in other directions, but also an eye. And so it comes directly below this individual looking into the book. And I thought that this was a mirror before I pulled this one out. So it doubles down on that imagery where, as through that process, it probably causes an emotional response, but there's some type of witnessing then at the end of the row, that inclusive self that washes away the pain and suffering of having thought we should hide that from ourselves. And so there's this watery realization that two ways I was seeing this, that kind of liberates, it begins to liberate this feminine principle from the masculine side, whatever gender we are. We're talking symbolically here for the most part. It's like the masculine principle is doing, achieving, acting, speaking, and believing and thinking and identifying with the flesh in multiple ways, right? It's more of the human dimension here in this example. And then the feminine aspect is the more etheric, the more subliminal, and the moon like inexact and confusing contrasts and depth of perception. And the feminine principle has been kind of tied and tethered, which seems to be related to this process where, as we look in the mirror, if we look at another, we might be considering them to be egoic or some type of authority figure. But here, as we look in the mirror, oh, I'm seeing that I have these two reversed. As we're looking in the mirror, then if we can press through that threshold of seeing ourselves and others more clearly, we are able to liberate ourselves. But until that happens, we may feel that we are this individual initiate bumping up against someone else with more power or influence, and that we are having to play the mirror for them it's like taking a part in their theater of their life and running the scripts that they dictate. And it's like we can release ourselves from that illusion of running the scripts that somebody else wants us to take up at any point. And so I'm seeing you release that with that 3 of water and looking forward to more flow. Coming below the planting the seeds, we have this card here. It looks very interesting and like you're ready for what comes next. It was giving me the should I stay or should I go? And I forgot to say earlier in the above row, there's this aspect of having been taking a little bit of, let's say, the easier route by avoiding pressing through. If people have upset us in the past, certain situations, when it gets to the boiling point, there's perhaps for some of us the urge to withdraw or push away or just leave that behind and go on to the next thing. And to a certain extent, that's amazing. You should do that with your perspective. But then you run the risk, if you physically move yourself from place to place looking for something else, you will just keep encountering yourself in the mirror again and again and again in all of these frustrating circumstances. That is the many faces of God speaking to us, God in quotations for all that need that. It's forcing us to climb the highest mountains and the highest peaks in our ascension journey here, and to witness and to gain more and more and more strength. Look at how tall that staff is that this individual is walking with. And the individual is shown crouched down. It's as if to take a mini rest, but to also surrender in the moment. And then we have directly below this witnessing yourself in the mirror of Mother Gaia. Look at this beautiful situation here, awakening us to our ability to give and receive generously. And the grace and the inner goddess is like being able to push through and to embody that innocence. And take a look at what finishes out this row directly below this masculine in the black and white. Look at that, and even the opposite and equal responses here between the two. But the difference is that this individual has just opened the heart space. Then the next level here is an open activated heart space, then has all of the rainbow codes of the universe, multiverse, really streaming through their embodiment here. And we also see the caduceus here showing itself as a symbol of healing and that hermetic principle of corresponding microcosm, macrocosm. And we also start and end with these light code portals. It's like this is the other side of the portal. This was the initiate at the beginning of the Lionsgate portal, perhaps in real time where I'm recording. And then this is the outcome coming through, because right now it is the 21st of August, and on the 23rd we have the full moon coming up. So very interesting. There is some type of full circle event that's coming through, and you're getting a great big maybe from the universe so far. But let's see if anything else wants to pop out. We're about to be done with the reading. Let's see anything further from Spirit. Open activated masculine, generosity, service, and dedication. So there's an opportunity coming up for you to embody this graceful, giving nature and to initiate it yourself. Something to do with your passions and some type of intensity that's asking you to maybe argue. You're setting the bar high. Spirit led through chaotic times, absolutely. So we also have intimidation tactics. So that Leo energy is coming through, questioning your person and your embodiment. Could be somebody is just so challenged by somebody who's sovereign and fully embodied and is a light for the world, that they feel like challenging you. But don't get lost in their script and responding to that energy, because let's see, yep, intimidation attack. Your light makes me feel overshadowed, so don't feed into it. How sweet it is to be loved by you.